Surging food prices. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. Let's have a look at this article from Yahoo Finance. Why global economists are worried about this graph. So let's see. Food prices are trending upwards, reaching highs not seen for more than a decade. An ongoing development global economists are watching very closely. The rising cost of food threatens ever higher weekly grocery bills and risks worsening global hunger that's at a multi-year high. I think in countries here in Australia, the risk is not going to be starvation. The risk is going to be people turning to foods that are worse for their health. You can save a lot of money if you buy the ultra-processed crap full of sugar and seed oils as opposed to eating good, healthy meat with animal fats. And that's the problem, because then that manifests in health issues. We've got non-communicable diseases like diabetes, which can be cured through diet, where the government is giving us the complete wrong advice. Awesome. And it exacerbates comorbidities with the pandemic that's going around the world too. So, fantastic. So, it is also exacerbating concerns of ongoing inflation, as a growing number of central banks face the prospect of having to lift rates earlier than forecast. The Food and Agricultural Organization's Food Price Index, which tracks international prices of the most globally traded food commodities, has reached its highest point since 2011. On a year-on-year basis, the index was up 31.3% in October. Agricultural commodity prices have risen steeply in the past year, driven by harvest setbacks and strong demand. World vegetable oil prices jumped 9.6% in the month to set a record high, supporting a further strength in palm oil prices as labor shortages in Malaysia continue to hamper productions. It comes as China urged residents to stock up on essentials such as vegetables price surge due to bad weather. Meanwhile, cereal prices rose 3.2% in October from the previous month. This was led by a 5% jump in the wheat price, which climbed for a fifth consecutive month to reach their highest since November 2012, FAO said. Tighter availability in global markets due to reduced harvests in major exporters such as especially Canada, the Russian Federation, the United States of America, continue to put upward pressure on prices, FAO said, of wheat. So Aussie shoppers claim to feel the pain. Well, I know I am, although the problem is I don't go shopping that often, and whenever I do, I always think back to when I first moved out of home, so everything seems insanely expensive to me. In Australia, last week's stronger than expected inflation figures pushed the key underlying measure to a 6-year high of 2.1%. That's still pretty low. The RBA's latest forecast is that underlying inflation will be no higher than 2.5% at the end of 2023. Meanwhile, the ABS's Consumer Price Index, which measures key household expenditures based on a basket of items, rose by 3% over the past year. At least anecdotally, some Aussie consumers say they are feeling the pinch. Groceries are insane, commented one Reddit user in a group discussing the latest CPI. Coles and Woolies prices have risen at least 10% in the last year, another suggested. Those claiming to work in the industry say they are witnessing the price rises flow through the supply chain when it comes to food ordering. I work as a purchasing manager in food service. I've never before seen price increases like this. Seriously, some key products, such as frying oil, are up 60 to 80%, one Reddit user wrote. All of our suppliers are increasing prices by 5 to 8%. It will be passed along to consumers. So what do Woolies and Coles say? Coles actually reports on its first quarterly sales last week, pointing to an overall deflation of 0.3% across store items. However, that was largely driven by a deflation in fresh produce, which has seen great growing conditions locally, and that offset inflation in other areas such as meat. Fresh deflation was driven by fresh produce, largely fruit, partly offset by continued inflation in meat from elevated livestock prices, the Coles report said. So while some things are more expensive, shoppers in the first few months of the year shouldn't have seen a rise in their grocery bills, Coles said. But that could certainly change when figures come out in the second and third quarters of this year. Woolworths Chief Executive Brad Budusi has warned about the potential for price rises at the checkout as the supermarket giant battles supply chain challenges. We started by not getting access to shipping capacity. Then there were issues about getting access to containers. And now the big issue is making sure we all get access to pallets, he told the Australian Financial Review last month. We just need to continue to manage this dynamically, but so far so good on actual supply. Increases in shipping costs and price hikes in areas such as meat could feed into higher prices in the aisles, he conceded. The relative sensitivity for us, of course, is affordability for our customers, so we can see the legitimacy of the cost increases suppliers have given us. But we've got to be very careful on how we pass those on to our customers, in particular as we get into the festive season. Like Coles, Woolies actually saw prices slide to begin this year. In the first quarter of this financial year, average prices across our range have decreased, particularly in fruit and veg, a Woolworths spokesperson told Yahoo Finance. Favourable growing conditions after recent years of drought and bushfires have delivered a bumper harvest. To help customers enjoy great value right through to Christmas, we've dropped the prices of more than 200 products in store and online. So what are we seeing here, guys? So talk of produce going down because of greater harvesting here in Australia. Remember the bushfires when that was the big issue? Cattle is still inflated. The prices are high because they're rebuilding the stock and shipping cost. I mean, this is just going to last until next year. Prices are going to steadily creep up until next year. Hopefully it'll taper out and it will be transitory. We'll have to see. There's competition in the grocery sector, guys. I mean, they're just talking to Coles and Woolies. I've noticed Aldi prices have gone up. I've noticed certain products at Aldi we can't even get anymore. But you have to make do, everyone. Find ways to save money. Find ways to be cheaper. Now, I'm going to recommend this video. This is about how Rachel processes bulk meat purchases. That's one way to save money, everyone. Buy a whole beef, a whole cow, and then get it delivered and store it for the long term. Great way to save money and to eat healthy too. Avoid the vegetable oils. Take care. I'll see you next time.